Let's look at what is required to set up a great multi-step omni-channel sequence. So you would come to Outreach, Sequences, and from here, we can click on the top right icon, Add Sequence. You'll see that there are a few options. You have the option to add an email, a call step, a LinkedIn step, and a task. If you're dealing with existing clients or clients who have opted into communications, we can also enable messaging for you. So this could send a SMS or an iMessage, and that's a very cool option because you get very high response rates. However, that is only accessible if you're dealing with clients who have opted into communication or you're dealing with existing clients. So let's start with looking at an email step. And I'm going to just give this sequence a name by clicking on the icon here. Call it example sequence. And let's go ahead and give this a subject. Hi. This is a first email. Great. So you'll see that I have a subject line, and within that subject line, I can use different variables. I could use the first name of the person I'm reaching out to, the company that they're at, whatever it is, right? So if I wanted to customize this, right, I'm going to ask them, how are sales at this company? You can use a pre-header. Some email clients do display pre-headers, others don't. So this is totally optional. Within the body of the email, we have options to use all kinds of those same variables. So you can customize the email to taste. And then you would put, I'm not going to type out the entire content of an email here because I'm sure you've read many emails before, but if you're familiar with any other sequencing tools, you'll be familiar with the idea of using variables, and all of these are going to be customized to the person that you're sending it to, right? So I'm going to just sign this off with thanks, Paul. And keep in mind also, to ensure deliverability, it's best that you're using only text. And I know it's a very common practice to put in things like HTML links to your website, cookie tracking and link tracking to see if they opened a link and all that kinds of stuff. But it actually is also a signal to email providers like Google and Outlook that you might be sending spam. So the safest way to send an email that increases the chances of your email actually being read is to not include any kind of HTML. So a very simple text email like this, maybe I'll put my job title and my company. Something just like this is all you need. It doesn't have to be terribly complicated. And I'm actually even going to remove this and make it a very personal thing. It's just about me reaching out to this person. And you'll see that when I preview the email, it's going to use the variables within there to customize, right? So how are sales at Rockwell Automation? Hi, Rebecca, right? So you could use those variables and it's going to, customize to the person you're sending it to. And you can also send a test email to see what it actually looks like in your inbox by clicking this button down here, test email. So that would be an automatic email. At Flash Intel, we like to take it a step further, and you can send a personalized email. So you'll see here, we have some various templates that we have to get your mind going on, different kinds of personalized emails that you can write. But typically, like what this is doing in a nutshell is we're taking all kinds of content and data we have on the people that you're sending information to. Say, for example, we want to reference someone's LinkedIn post and comment about that. So I could say, hey, I noticed that you posted on LinkedIn that you're hiring salespeople. Very cool. It just so happens that we have some interesting software that they might be able to use. In this case, let's run this. I will choose a email. So I'm just choosing a local email address, and I'll choose Rebecca. And keep in mind, if the person doesn't have LinkedIn, a message just won't go out to them in this case. But let's see what populates for Rebecca, who hopefully uses LinkedIn. And this is using something similar to ChatGPT, a large language model, reading their LinkedIn post and tailoring the message to the person based on their job title, their company, their most recent LinkedIn post, whatever variable you wanted to use there, right? So great. This is what a personalized email looks like. And you could also send out a test email there. So let's just exit out of here. And I'm going to go ahead and save this personalized email as my first step. And you'll see that by default, it's going to say wait 1 hour and then execute this email. That means by the moment I add contacts to the sequence, if it's not paused and if it's in an active state, 1 hour after adding contacts, it will start to deliver those emails. I could go and change that to 1 day. I could change the number of days, or I could change the number of hours if I wanted it to go out a few hours later. That all works, whatever works for you. So, when I run a sequence, typically I do one step, and then the following day, I might follow up with maybe an automatic email, just checking in and say hi and give their first name. How are you today? Great. Let's chat. And then I'm going to say Paul. So I could save this as a step 2, and you'll see that I could wait a day to then execute that email. And you could, of course, change the number of days or whatever you wanted to do with that. Now is a good time to look at a few settings that would ensure the best deliverability for your emails. So when you come here, you'll notice that we have a schedule. This is when your emails will go out. So we could choose, say, between 9 and 5 each day. So if your emails, they're not sending a human. If a human's sending an emails, we're not sending them from, 1 a.m. Through 11 p.m., right? Then Google and Outlook are definitely going to know that it's not a human sending those emails. They'll be marked as spam. So you're best to create a schedule and send it only for some hours of the day. That's really up to you, but just make it human-like hours. Then you would come down. The most important ones that you're going to want to look at are these delivery optimization settings. So you'll notice right now, I have email tracking on, but when I click this on to send emails as text only, that all of a sudden email tracking is off. And this is actually the optimal setting for getting responses and ensuring deliverability. If you have any kind of HTML in your email, that can flag Google and Outlook that you might be spam. So email tracking, because it uses a little photo, even like a 1 pixel photo, it's HTML, that could mark you as spam. So email tracking, although it's super useful, some people find the trade-off of decreased deliverability worth it, but we recommend having email tracking off. Yes, you're going to be blind whether they actually opened it or not, but at least you know that it's actually landing in their inbox. So let's save this setting. So I'm going to keep email tracking off and HTML only mode on. Let's scroll down here and look at the real-time email validator settings. These are the other very important settings that you're going to want to look at. So the real-time email validator, this is just checking that the email address you're sending to can receive emails. So we send out a little ping to that email address beforehand. We also check the syntax and structure of the email. If it's a valid email, we're going to send it. And you'll see kind of this blue is kind of unselectable because we always want to send it to a valid email. This would not make sense to not send to a valid email. If it's invalid, some people choose to send to invalid emails anyways because they're very certain that the emails they have are correct. And sometimes we're not able to verify the email. If you get that as a response to the validation, you can choose whether to send that out to send that or not. The other is the catch-all settings. So a catch-all domain is, about half of the companies out there have catch-all domains. And what a catch-all domain is, you could think of it as an info@company.com or admin@company.com. And if you send an email, like my email is paul.gillette@myflashcloud.com. But if you mistyped my email and put like paul.gillette with 1 T by accident, that would be forwarded to the admin at myflashcloud.com instead. That's called a catch-all. So that catch-all domain is receiving all the emails that are coming into the company. And it's best not to send to those because those email addresses are impossible to validate. So your number of emails that you're sending out will decrease, but you're increasing the deliverability and protecting the integrity of your email addresses that you've set up. So that's a trade-off to keep in mind. If you're sending to catch-all domains, you'll be sending more emails, but you're also putting your email at risk of getting marked as spam because you're not sure if you're sending it to valid emails or not. So once you've chosen all your settings here, the other ones are fairly straightforward. You could just read what they're saying. They're not as important for deliverability. But once all those settings are set up to your liking, let's go and add some other types of steps. Another natural step to add would be a call step. So if I just open up the plus symbol here, add another step, call, you'll see that I could either add this step to the dialer if you have an account that has access to the dialer, and I would just add it to a shortcut call. Say, let's call this after 2 emails. And now when I go to the dialer and I pull up this filter or this shortcut, I should say, any contact that has reached the 3rd step will be on my dialer and I could go ahead and call them. So I'm going to go and save that step. And that would actually, to pass that step, I'd actually have to go ahead and call that person. Unless, of course, I put here, I could automatically skip this step if I didn't call within 5 days. I'm going to change this to 1 day. So that means if I didn't make this call within a day, it's just going to go ahead and skip to the next step. In this next step, I'm going to make an automatic voicemail drop. Automatic voicemail drop, that's basically you're able to leave a voicemail without ever having to pick up the phone. So you would add contacts to this sequence, and I'm going to make this, you could upload an MP3 of a pre-recorded generic voicemail. So you could upload that MP3. It could just sound something like, hey, it's Paul calling from Flash Intel. I'm just following up on that email I sent you. I would love to chat. Give me a call back. My number is 123, or whatever your voicemail was. You would upload that MP3 and save that as a step. Then it would go through, and whenever it reaches a voicemail, it would drop that to the person's voicemail automatically. A very useful function. The other option is to use text to speech. So you could say, hi, this is Paul. Please call me back, right? And you could leave your phone number, and you'll see we use the voice to text AI feature, and that could automatically drop voicemails. So I would really only recommend this text to speech function if you have maybe an offshore team or people that maybe have very heavy accents and you're calling into a different market. So you might have someone from Scotland calling into Florida. They might not understand your Scottish accent. So you could just use an American accent, or vice versa. You could use a Scottish accent if you're American leaving voicemails in Scotland. So whatever you choose, I would suggest custom file. If you're confident in your voice, you're making calls anyways. So upload an MP3 with your voicemail and leave that as a step. And another very useful step that you could do is a text message step. And I could choose whether it's a text message, or if you have iMessage enabled, you could send that as well. And this is really only for warm contacts that have opted into communications, or existing customers. You cannot legally send cold texts, at least in the United States. Chats. Call. Okay, great. So I'm going to save that. Call me back. And then I could give that the name of a template. I could also send LinkedIn steps. So with LinkedIn, you'll see that right now my my account isn't connected. This one's very straightforward. It looks the exact same as a text message. You'll just have additional options to do the automatic liking of a post. So it would just be a thumbs up on a post. You can also send an automatic message, and you can send an automatic connection request. So those are the 3 options with your LinkedIn sequence steps. And finally, the task. Tasks are great if you just wanted a reminder to do some sort of manual process. So I've seen some customers do this for, sending things like Facebook connection requests. Now, keep in mind, this isn't automated in our system. This is going to be a reminder for you to go ahead and do that thing. And those will show up under your task view. which is right here, outreach tasks, and you'll see the list of tasks that you have assigned to you for that day. So those are the various steps in the sequence that you can create. That's an omni-channel sequence in a nutshell.